and welcome to Talking Trade. Good afternoon. I hope you're sat in your vans or your feet up having a 1 o'clock rest. That's what the national time for tradespeople stopping is, 1 o'clock. Now, today's show is all going to be driven by you, hopefully, because we want to know what your funniest stories are, what your best stories are that you tell each other that's happened to you on site. I'm joined with Brad today. We'll say hello to him in a minute, and we've got a few guys out on site. But I want to know what the funniest things that have happened to you on site, because we've all got like cracker stories that we've all got that we love telling each other. I've got like 2 or 3 that I'll save up. I know Brad's got a few. So just in the comments, just write that, just put us in a story. Don't matter how long it is. It can be short, it can be long. Just let us know what the funniest thing ever has happened to you on site. And if you do comment, you will be in for the chance to win a On the Tools hoodie. I don't really know why I'm holding it there because I've got one actually on. But if you want to win one of these hoodies, which go about 30 quid, we will pick a random comment. We've got something called a randomizer. That sounds exciting, doesn't it? And we will pick someone at random to win one of those hoodies. So what sort of things have happened to you? Have you sent an apprentice somewhere to do something stupid? Have you found something ridiculous in a house? Because I know that we find a lot of things. Try and keep it PG if you can. What other things have you done? Have you met some like really weird customers? Because there's those weirdos out there. Just what things have happened to you, and comment in, and we'll read them out. Okay. So today in the studio, I'm joined by Brad, who's also a fellow electrician, sort of an early electrician, aren't you?
Electrician's mate, more.
Electrician's mate.
Not qualified.
But you're training to do
of course. Pay for me qualification myself and just carry on as you do without an apprenticeship.
Oh, that's okay. That's a good way of doing it. How long's it taken you?
I'm into about 8 months at the moment. I've probably got about 6 months left on my portfolio, and then my AM2, and that should be it.
Yeah, the old NVQ3 where you got to take photographs.
You know it, literally.
When I did mine, I had to take photographs with one of those wind-on cameras and cut them out. That's how old I am.
Pretty stick them in.
Yeah, that's right. So whereabouts are you based? Who do you work for?
I'm based in Derbyshire and I work for Excel.
Okay, good company.
Yeah, good. We do more industrial than domestic, but yeah,
okay.
As much as any company.
You've got some stories at your sleeve. What's happened to you?
A couple of little bits from a previous company when I was apprentice, like.
Okay.
I had one of the ones that you mentioned a minute ago about...
we'll get on. No, don't give it away. We'll get on to it in a minute. We got on to a minute. So we've already had some comments come in just to give you a sort of taster of what you can write in and what you can let us know. Just keep your comments coming in. Let us know your best stories, your go-to stories. So let's have a look at some that have come in. The first one is quite interesting. This is like the world's worst sort of Cards Against Humanity game ever. A blow-up doll that had been run over by a truck in Grimsby. That could only happen in Grimsby, couldn't it, Brad?
Yeah, definitely. Got to be Grimsby, hasn't it? Wonder what type of blow-up doll it is.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Saying nothing.
It didn't say, did it? It could be a sheep or anything, but we must keep it PG. So yeah, stuff like that if you've been in Grimsby. The next one, you have to say this in, I'll put on my specialist Somerset accent in this. This has got to be a Somerset accent one. Old crusty knickers was taking carpets up in derelict houses. We've you ever found any crusty knickers?
Not as far as I can remember at the moment, no. Bit of a strange one.
What sort of stuff have you found?
More worse stuff, to be honest. Working in dives, to be fair. Finding needles and that type of stuff around.
Needles?
Yeah, not good.
Needles and knickers.
Needles and knickers, the two ends.
The joys. Yeah. It is in Derby.
I am a Derby lad, sorry. West Brom fan, though, from Derby.
Brilliant. So yeah, needles and knickers. If you find anything worse than that. Oh, Jack has found used condoms and a Kama Sutra book under a customer's bed.
Nice.
I wouldn't even know what the Kama Sutra is. Is it some sort of book, isn't it, Brad?
I might have some type of idea, but you said PG for Facebook, so I'm going to tone it down a little bit.
Have you ever had to use the Kama Sutra as a manual?
I wouldn't need that, no. No, Andy.
I wouldn't need
we'll
that.
cut that one there as
Very
well.
Confident. If you've been a past partner of Brad's, do write in and let us know if he
Please don't.
Needs it. and our last one, naked pictures of the customer. So have you ever seen naked pictures of a customer?
No, not personally. No,
do you know what? I read when we were doing a bit of research for this, I read an interesting fact that, I don't know whether this fact's true or not, but 50% of tradespeople, now let us know if this is true because it'd be interesting to see. Apparently 50% of tradespeople have been propositioned in a house whilst working in regards of payment. Now, No, I've been a tradesperson 25. I'm not an oil painting, but that's never happened to me, and I'm really annoyed about it. So, has that ever happened to you? Ever been propositioned anywhere?
I did work in a psychiatric hospital once.
Right.
And I can remember changing a light fitting, and it was in one of the rooms with one of the patients. And I just felt an ever so slight hand on my leg. But within seconds, I was out of that ladder and out of that room. Scared for my life, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
It was in a psychiatric ward in a hospital. You don't tell too many people that story, do you?
no. So, no, nothing to do with the customer. No, nothing like that.
But that was good. That was a good.
Similar, I suppose.
It's more than I've had.
Oh. Well, I could imagine the statistic as well, because you hear a lot about girls like the blokes in work trousers.
Oh yeah,
That's what I hear about the traders. Yeah.
These are the trousers. Any ladies watching or any
trousers.
chaps watching, do you find these trousers beautiful to look at? Apparently they're well, if you got all over those trousers, they're filthy.
Probably silicone or something.
Because you got that one quite well. Now, we were talking about the sex doll. The sex doll. We didn't get to what sort of sex doll it was. It reminds me of one of my go-to stories. I don't know whether this has happened to you. I was working in a house about 6 or 7 years ago down in Bath, and when you're testing electrics, you have to test every socket. Well, you have to test every socket in the house. So I had to go around every single room, every bedroom, every place there's a socket and test it. And this one was a spare bedroom, and it had a single bed, and it was piled quite high with mattress covers and things. And as I was testing the socket, I sat down on the end of the bed. I think because my phone went off, I was going to look at the email or something. I sat down and I felt something dig into my bum. I thought, what the hell's that? And I got the corner of the blanket, the old sheet, and I peeled the corner blanket, sort of worried what I was going to find. And there was a foot. Right, and the foot had lace socks on. So instantly, sort of like, for that moment, I thought I discovered a dead body. I thought I was in someone's house. I discovered a dead body. Oh my God, I'm going to have murderous house. And these people were like in their 60s and 70s. It was a couple in their 60s and 70s. And I found this foot with this lace sock. I'm getting shivers thinking about it again. And then I pulled it back a bit further, and then you could see it was an entire body. So I've realised by now that it's not a dead body, but it actually was a full size, 10 grand sex doll. And of course, being the professional I am, you have to try and get as many photographs as you can before the customer finds out. But then you have to act all like nothing's happened.
Yeah, like you didn't see what you just seen.
So then I'm sort of texting people, going, look what I found. And they're texting me back going, I want to photograph more photographs. So I have to go upstairs whistling, pretending that I'm seeing But yeah, it's finding a full-grown sex doll and then talking to the full-grown sex doll, full-blown sex doll, and then talking to the customers like you've never seen nothing is a bit. Let's have a look. If we've got some comments coming in apparently. Hopefully not from the owner of that sex doll. Michael says, I'm a heating engineer, and while servicing a gas fire, a budgie came out of his cage and disappeared up my vacuum cleaner pipe.
Oh my God. That is brilliant, to be fair. Love that one.
I mean, he's leaving us hanging though. The next episode, did the budgie survive? Was the I take it the vacuum must have been. Oh Jesus, that was horrible. Wasn't it?
I'm gonna take a guess at a no for that, to be honest.
Michael, let us know. Did the budgie survive? Because that is a brilliant story. Any other comments, guys? Any other stories coming in? We found a barbecued rat in my customer's. Barbecue rat in my customer's breaker. Yeah, we see that a lot, don't we? Mice and things. Always makes you feel a bit eerie when you find things like that.
Hi, mate.
With you when you found the doll.
Oh God, no. That's a plastering friend of mine, actually.
Thank you, lads. Keep your comments coming in if you've got any funny stories. I'm still a bit traumatised by the budgie going up the Hoover. But Brad, anything that happened to you? What's your go-to story when you tell people about things happening?
I've got one of being an apprentice at 16 years old, fresh out of school. You know how it is. You don't know a lot at this point. And I've been sent to the wholesalers to go and fetch a long weight and a glass hammer.
I could already see it coming.
And at 16 years old, I was like, yeah, all right, mate, no stress. And the company must have took every single apprentice that they had there, because the people behind, they almost knew what was happening. I was asking him every 20 minutes, like, have you got my bits yet, mate? And he'd be like, yeah, just 5 more minutes, mate. Just keep waiting. And yeah, they eventually came back for me anyway, but
So that
3.5 hours later.
that wasn't very long ago, though. You're still quite young,
I'm 24 now.
24. So
16.
So you never had a like a lesson before you went into an apprenticeship going, if anybody ever asks you to do these things, it's probably a joke.
Yeah, no, but funnily enough, my granddad used to say it before he passed away. I've heard my granddad say the exact same thing before, but I was too young to understand what it was. So when it was my turn to go there, obviously.
So you thought a long wait was a long.
Yeah, I would have thought a long-ish wait. Another good one, spirit level bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that one on our next apprentices after, but after I learnt my lesson the hard way anyway. Yeah.
So you were winding up your apprentices. You're getting into things.
we did. You know what it's like being the apprentice. The apprentice always gets it, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Any pranks that you can think of that you've set them on?
One. This isn't me. This is actually my brother. He sent me one earlier, but something to do with some wood slats. An apprentice's head was there, and they've screwed up some wooden slats either side of his head. So he's sort of like this through the joist of a wall. Like, got a couple of good photos of that anyway, but.
Oh, poor apprentices. Are you an apprentice that have had something pranked on you? Let us know if you getting picked on. We get picked on.
I bet there's plenty, isn't there?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
got
If
to
you've
be
got
a few
apprentice,
out there.
what I do wonder, we should run some sort of competition for what the best apprentice prank is ever. The classic long wait. I mean, they've been about for years and stuff, but is there anything in the more modern day that is trumping them? Let's have a look at some photographs that we've been sent in by different people. See what we think about that.
I love that. I love it.
That's like something from the Flintstones, isn't it?
Yeah, literally.
I'm guessing they put it in there and then cut it after. It's like a children's get toys to do things like that. But that's an expensive drill, isn't it?
I wonder if it still works when they get that out.
Yeah, if it's Makita.
Wow,
Is it a Makita?
it's a Makita, yeah, but I'd be a bit happier if it were a Milwaukee I'd found in there. Beggars can't be
don't start the
choosers,
debate,
though.
the
They can't be choosers, though, can they?
That'd be a good advert for Makita actually if they got that and it started working. But I guess all the concrete's got in. So don't bury your tools too much. But that is a brilliant picture. Next up, we've that guy that must do all the painting on the ceilings on site, mustn't he? That's like one of those things you see outside car dealerships. They're always on Family Guy. Those men that have the wobbly arms like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm guessing he's on a day rate, so that's why he's got the time to do that. At least he's got his high-vis trousers on. Oh,
That's a good one.
That's the drunken digger there. Do you look like that on a Monday morning?
Sometimes, I won't lie. He must have had a heavy night there last night before, hasn't
Oh, see
he?
what we did there? Heavy night there.
Oh.
Very good. Nice. What have we got next there, chaps? Oh, there we go. It's electrician versus carpenter, isn't it? Now, I've been looking at this photograph. I think what's happened there is that plug was there, and then the carpenter or someone put the wall in with a cutout around it, and then someone's gone, nope, and they filled it in there. What do you reckon?
Disgusting. I'm saying nothing else. That would send me on a bit of a panic attack on site. I'm not going to lie.
The problem is if you've got to put the socket off, isn't it? But I'm guessing that
Cut the wall out, wouldn't you?
yeah, but at least one socket works, I suppose. Right, let's go over to our next. We got one more, I think, in there. Oh, we got two more. There's you can, if you want some extra help, just go into the storeroom and there will be someone lying there that you've got to book out as a book out apprentice. At a day like that where you're feeling a bit.
I actually have on a hot pipe in a specific on a hot pipe in a specific hospital once.
In a hospital?
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, no, that's not a good one.
One final picture I think we've got there is I'm trying to see whether he's the guy putting the expanding foam in or that's his toolbox. So it looks like someone's filled his toolbox with expanding foam or he's doing it to someone else.
I feel his pain. That is so
All
hard.
over his hands.
So hard to get off your hands as well. Have you had spray foam on your hands before?
Yeah,
It's been picking it off 3 days after.
Expanding foam. Right, let's look at some comments to see what stories you've been sending in. Michael, yes.
Oh, no.
No, Michael, sadly the budgie never made it. I stopped the Henry, ripped open the bag, but the budgie was dead.
I'm depressed now, Michael.
I flew over it, placed him back in his cage, and I never heard any more about it. Well, the blew over it, was that like CPR for the budgie, or you've just blown the test off? That's one of the best stories I've ever. That is brilliant. I love that. but I can tell it still affects you now, Michael. Sam says a friend of ours was checking the plumbing in a house, went down to the cellar to check the gas meter, found a jar of teeth.
Oh,
That's a funny
did he
place.
take the teeth?
Yeah, did you take the teeth, Sam, or did you bite him into some? That's a funny place to keep teeth, isn't it? Keep them coming in. If there's anything else that you've found on site or anything else like that, we got any more lined up? Are we? No, not for now. But keep them coming in. Nothing's going to top that budgie one, I don't think. But do keep them coming. It's funny enough. I did have one story sent to me. You know, when you read things and they make you laugh out loud. This is from a bathroom fitter, and his story is, it says, a couple of years ago I did a bathroom remodel for an older couple. Not the same ones I went to, I think. Great customers are paying on time. After I completed the job, I got a call from the wife. I'm laughing because I know what's coming. And she said there's a huge problem and they need me to come over as soon as possible. I thought that was odd, that they wouldn't tell me what the problem was over the phone. So I scheduled to go there the next day. I arrived trying to anticipate what the problem could be because I thought I did a good job. I knocked on the door and the wife took me up to the bathroom. She pointed at the toilet and she said, "Look." And I said, "Yes, I can't see anything problem with that." And she said, "The water in the toilet bowl is too high." And he says, I don't quite understand. And then she proceeded to say, "Well, when my husband sits down, his penis touches the water." I tried not to laugh, but I could not help it. In near hysterics, I told her there was nothing that could be done outside of buying a specially designed toilet bowl. She said that she would just have to live with it. I actually love that story. It's brilliant, isn't it? What a lucky chap.
I know, yeah.
What a lucky chap. Yeah. So we've got some other chaps out on site that we're going to talk to now. I've got some stories for us. We're going to go to Aaron and Steve. Aaron and Steve, there they are on their lunch break. How are you doing, my mates? Good man. So tell us some things that have happened to you on site. What's been going on out there?
I think you're muted.
I think the old Zoom thing of 2020. I think you've muted your camera or something, guys. There's
Hello?
the big hands coming.
Can you hear us now?
There we go.
Start again, chaps. Tell us what's made you laugh on site.
Right, so I was doing a renovation in a house. I was downstairs doing something else. I heard a load of banging upstairs, so I went to see what my mate was doing. And he'd been bashing this wall to bits. And I says, "What you doing?" And he obliterated the wall, the electrics ringing off, everything. He bashed the switches, everything. And I just looked at him and thought, oh, whatever. And I says, "Watch them electrics, they're live." And he says, "They're not live." I says, "They are live because I ain't switched them off." And he says, "No, they're definitely not live." And for some unknown reason, he touched the metal conduit with his nose to prove they were not live. At that point, the massive spark, his skin just peeled off his nose. And for about the next 3 weeks, he had this perfect line where the conduit had gone straight down. Literally, don't know why he did it, but that's how you test electrics, apparently. See if they're live.
That is
Our bathroom fitter might test electrics anyway, yeah.
That's the first thing we teach you in college, isn't it, Brad? How to test things.
Yeah, just either lick your finger, touch it, or nose on the end.
Touch it with your nose. I love that. What else have you got? What else has happened?
So when I first started working, I started working with my uncle, and we got sent to a job for a water leak under a bath. They'd had the ceiling downstairs reboarded and plastered. So they'd put a screw through under, and it had gone through the water pipe under the bath. So we turned the stop tap off and we were greeted with a cup of tea. And we've gone upstairs, and my uncle says, "Right, cut the pipe and splice a new piece in." So I was like, "Right, okay, no problem." So I've cut the pipe, and I'm like, and there's water gushing out of this. Says, "Have you drained down?" He's like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "Well, it's coming out quick." And so I'm trying to put my fingers over the end of it to stop the water from coming out, and it's just gushing out. And he's panicking, running around, and I'm fighting with these pipes, and I just gave up. I just thought, well, it's going there. So I took my hands off of it. I've gone downstairs, and this customer was in a flowery, like, cooking apron with yellow marigolds on, stood on a chair with a mop, trying to mop this water up, like in a high pitched voice. Well, I just burst out laughing, and this water's just gushing out. My uncle's running up and down the street, trying to find the stop tap to turn it off. This customer's going hysterical because this water's coming out his freshly plastered ceiling. I'm just trying to pick myself up off the floor.
That sort of sounds like a scene from a Tom and Jerry cartoon,
Yeah,
isn't it?
does,
Yeah.
It was honestly, it was priceless. When I came downstairs, I saw, and he had these yellow marigolds on and this flowery apron with his mop. I just burst out laughing. I thought, what are you doing?
I think he's dreamt it. I really do.
I love how they were stood on a chair as if their feet weren't wet already. So yeah, I think water. I think we've all probably hit water pipes and stuff. At the time, for us, I think it's the most stressful thing ever to hit a water pipe and the water starts spraying out. But to see someone else do it is one of the
That'd be
funniest things.
amazing. Yeah, definitely.
I worked in a prison once, not as an inmate, as an electrician, and one of my colleagues hit a water main going through. Like it was massive, it was quite big, but it was so thick, the water was only dribbling out. And the prison plumber said, "Don't worry, I've got this. I'll sort this out." He said, "He goes, what I need to do is I need to cut into it, and I'll replace it with some sort of coupler or something." So he went off. He goes, "I've turned it off. Everybody stand back." He was the big guy, He goes, "Stand back, everyone. I know what I'm doing." And he had like an angle grinder, a petrol cutter thing. And he starts cutting into this water main, and I've never seen pressure so much. It's so funny I think about it now. That water like sprayed out, and it flooded the entire wing. They had to move all the prisoners away, but it brings such glee to see someone else do a water pipe,
especially with his confidence as well.
Yeah,
being as like everyone stand back on the man.
Brilliant, and he's covered in water. Anything else happened to you guys? Anything else you got up your sleeves?
Well, we're talking about weird things that were found on site. So I was in Nottingham on a student property, and I was digging out around the front of the property, and I found what I could only describe was a rock, and it was just a rock. And the painter and decorator, because I picked this rock, I thought, it looked a bit weird. The painter and decorator, that's a meteorite, that is. I said, shut up. He says, no, it is. But we're not having it. I'll have it. So anyway, I took this rock in me van and went home, and it's getting towards the end of the job, and this painter and decorator goes, "You still got that meteorite?" I said, "What, that rock?" And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, I've still got it." I says, "Paperweight's on my desk at home." He says, "I'll give you £100 for that meteorite." I said, "Sold." I brought it the next day, and he paid me £100 for a rock. Now, I'm not saying anything, but that painter and decorator they want the lights on, but nobody was in.
I read about him last week. He sold a rock he found for 10 grand or something in the paper.
You're kidding?
Yeah, I bought it. Yeah.
Oh, I do love stories like that. Anyone more to top us off? Anything there?
I went to do this heating job, and my gaffer at the time said, "She's a bit weird, this woman, so just tread carefully around her." I says, "All right then." So anyway, I went to the job, met her. She seemed okay. She went off to work, knew exactly where I was putting the boiler and everything. Did the job. Job was fine. Everything went all right. She came home, walked through the door. I just finished. Started screaming. I mean, screaming beyond you've never heard screaming like it in your life. Well, I haven't, but that's a different story. But it was like unbelievable. I said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she was like, that there. I says, "It's the boiler. That's where you wanted it put in." No, not the boiler. What's all that there? I said, "Where?" And she says, "Underneath it. What are they?" I says, "They're pipes." And she says, "Well, they wasn't in the brochure."
That's brilliant.
And she just, "Get out my ass. Get out my ass." I just had to go and let my gaffer sort it out. I was like, oh my God. I was laughing but crying at the same time. I didn't know what to do. She was deadly serious.
It's amazing. It's not in the brochure. I love that. Guys, thank you so much for those stories. They're absolutely brilliant. Thanks ever so much for joining us. And
cheers, lads.
I think there's a decorator somewhere with a rock laughing his head off at you. Cheers, lads.
Just
I love that. I just love that there's a decorator who's got like a 20 grand meteorite.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
I only thought it was worth £100. There's a brilliant video that I want to show you that was on the page this week, and a couple of guys. Oh, sounds like the beginning of Fresh Prince. We're up to no good. A couple of guys got a skip, and they put it in the water. And if you've seen it, they made it. But let's have a look at it. It's absolutely brilliant.
I say, Mungo, what the bloody hell's going on here? We seem to be floating in a skip. Yes, we are in the skip.
I do love that. That's brilliant. How has that skip not got any holes in it?
See, that is almost unheard of,
There's always
isn't it,
a
for a
hole in
modern
a
day
skip,
skip?
yeah.
But that is modern day engineering for you. I love that.
modern day
I
engineering.
think that is brilliant.
Modern day boat building.
I love it. I really do.
Up in Nottingham, brilliant. Thanks for sending that in, guys. I do love that video. Right, we've got another storyteller now. But by the way, if you've got any stories, please put them in the comments. Some of the stuff you found on there, on site, things that have happened to you, pranks that you've made apprentices go into. What is your go-to funny story that you tell people as a tradesperson that we can read out? Nothing's going to be that budgie one. I do love that budgie one. But we're going to go to James now. He's in his van. He's got a story for us, I think. How you doing, mate? Is he? Just
Muted.
unmute yourself, mate. This is the saying of this year, isn't it? Unmute yourself. Yeah, you're in. You're in. What are you up to? What do you do?
Yes,
Well,
bricklaying. JDM brickwork. Yeah, I'm a bricklayer.
Get that in there. Bricklaying. What's your go-to story, mate? What's your funny things? How many have you got for us?
Just really taking Mickey out myself, really. When I was an apprentice, similar to Brad, as he was saying earlier, I was as green as the cum. I got straight into it from school without any background in construction. So I was proper fresh off the block, didn't know anything. So I had all tricks done to me and everything like that. But one thing that does stick with me is it wasn't a specific prank that were done onto me. It was something that stupid that I did myself. So basically, when you set like a wide opening out on the front or the back of an house for, say, some patio doors, sometimes if the gobble's still a bit wet and it needs to set right, you'll put a scaffold board along the top at about head height and weight it down with some blocks to hold the blockwork in place. So the bricklayers that I was working with at the time had done that, and they told me to go and load out on another plot. So I thought, okay, cool. So I've gone under this scaffold board, ducked to go under it, realised I've forgotten my Stanley knife to go and open the bands on the packs of bricks on the other plot. So I've ducked under to go, realised I've forgotten my knife, turned round and forgot to duck as I've gone back into the plot and hit the scaffold board with my hard hat, and the full front of them two pillars have just gone and smashed onto the plot.
Oh, mate, but you were all right. You never hit your head.
I was all right. Yeah, luckily I had my hat on, so it was the hat that pushed it. But at the time, it wasn't funny at all. I was pretty scared. There were two grizzly, scary, big, hard-looking bricklayers, and I'm just 16-year-old me just thinking, oh, my God, what have I done?
What was the repercussions of that? Did they stitch you up with anything for knocking over the brickwork?
Nah, there were one that were really big, and then one that were like a short, little like a little meathead. But the big guy, big ex-rugby player, proper hardcore, just looked at me dead in eyes and says, "The best thing you can do is run."
And did you?
So run, I did.
Which always sounds scarier than Northern accent. So you going through your days on site there, mate. What other capers did you get up to?
All sorts. Now it's my turn to take Mickey out of apprentices. I've got an apprentice at the minute, but it's not as fun because he's a bit clued up. Like, he's got family in trade, so he knows a few tricks and stuff. But one at Labourers that's been with us recently, we've managed to get him with a few bits. We've had him up in site office for a long stand and had him going for sky hooks and left-handed screwdrivers and what have you. It's absolutely, it just don't get old seeing the reactions when they come back and they go, you did this, you that, you getting right mad. It's just mint. It's just ace. I was watching.
What's your go-to list of apprentice pranks? I think we've all got a list of them each. Just for people watching that want to play a prank, or maybe apprentices watching that want to be prepared for them. How many can you list of apprentice pranks?
I hope there ain't many apprentices watching because you've got to go through that. It's like a process. Like when you're in army, it's part of selection going through that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give too much away.
but your one there was Sky. Is it Skyhooks, mate? Your go-to one?
No, my go-to is a long stand. You can't go wrong with a long stand.
Long stands.
You know what?
I haven't heard.
Yeah, long stand.
Long wait is what we usually have.
No, long stand. I said we were in the footings and I had I was walling some dumpies in the foundation, and it was like a really long wall. It was about 5 meters long ish, like a side of a garage. And I says, "Oh, you know what I need to get this wall straight? I'm gonna need a long stand to hold it in place." It always works. They're like that. As well, they're like that. Long stand. Yeah, sound. I'll be 2 minutes.
Have you ever found anything weird when you're digging for footings and things?
No, I've got. No, funnily, it's funny you should say that. There was a lad that worked with us last year. This isn't a story that I have got personally, but this is the story that one of the lads told me. He were digging up. He were in little mini digger, and he were digging some footings, and he actually did come across what he felt something really hard that he thought was rock. So he's like, "What's that?" So he's jumped out because it were only a little mini digger. So if you've ever driven one of them, you can feel everything that you touch or that you come across. So he's felt something that's rock hard. Got out to have a look at what it was. And he thought it looked like bone. So he's got his shovel and he started digging. And Sheldon, I'm going to actually tag Sheldon in this video afterwards because it's him that told me this story. But yeah, he started digging around it, and it happened to be a skull and some other bits of skeletons. So he told his gaffer. They phoned council. Council came out to have a look, and they were only digging up about 100 yards away from an old graveyard that had been like, mate, honestly, this graveyard had been cleared because they get cleared after so many years, don't they? So it were a really old graveyard, and they must have missed a few bodies. Anyway, the council came out. They had to shut all site down. They had to notify everyone and everything and get it all cleared out before they carried on with job. And they got a load of compensation on that. But he said he would have been scared.
That's a bit scary, wasn't it?
I thought he was going to say it's like a family's dog or something that they buried in the garden. I thought it was going to be like a treasure chest. It was going to go as dark as I find a body. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, literally a dead body.
Thanks for joining us, mate. I really appreciate those stories. Brilliant. You're cracking on your day now.
Sheldon will be able to confirm that as well in comments.
Cheers, James. Thanks a lot, mate.
Yeah, man. Catch you up later.
Cheers, mate. That's a Nottingham way. Yeah, man. What have you got? Something you were telling me about?
I've got one I can add on to James's.
Go on.
So also like James's, it's not actually my story. It's one that I've been told by my brother, but I'm not going to drop any names or for company reasons.
Your companies, yeah.
But I know somebody who was at a distribution board switching off RCDs for testing.
Where were they?
In a hospital. Was testing things in a hospital, so he's switching off on this board, switching on and off. And they can't see anything seem to be happening straight away.
The board wasn't labelled up with what it did.
Not labelled up properly, of course, because obviously we'll see that a lot. We do. Well, I do anyway. So it must have been the same scenario for my friend. So
he's going down through the board, switching something off and turning it back on.
Switching on and off. And they left it for half hour, went for their lunch. And
they left it off?
Well, no, they turned all back on as it was, went for their lunch, because they thought they can't find it at the moment. So let's just see what can happen with
This
it.
is in a hospital, so
Next minute, they're getting a phone call from the morgue saying that all the bodies downstairs are heating up and then dropping down in temperature. They're heating the bodies on and off, basically. They're turning them all on and off. I know, that's not a great one.
I've got a morgue story.
Oh, here we go.
No, this one, again, we won't say any company names, but my friends told me this story. This is my favourite. If anyone asks me a story about, do you know any funny trade stories, this is my favourite go-to one. That this team of people were working in a morgue. They were refurbishing it, so there wasn't any bodies or anything in there. But one of them was a joker, was a prankster guy, and he really wanted to play a prank on someone else. And he said, and he was going to all the other bosses, he's going, I really want to play a prank on Dave. He goes, I'll tell you what, put me in the freezer thing and put a sheet over me. And when you pull the thing out, I'll jump up and go, woo, like that. And, he goes, and all the other guys go, yeah, that'd be brilliant. But this guy's always trying to play pranks on people. So he did it. So they got one of the things out. There's nobody's in there at all because it's been refurbished. He lies on the table and they put like a white sheet over him or a dust sheet or something, I think. And they put it back in and they close the door. So when he's lying in that fridge, expecting the door to come open and the guy to come and shock him. But what he didn't know is that someone was playing a prank on him and they were on the next level down.
See where this
they
is
put
going.
their hand up and tapped him on the shoulder. And he sat up so fast, he smashed his head on the thing above and his head was all bleeding. So the prank was actually on him. Oh, I love that. I'd love to.
That's a change of events there. That was good.
So, if you've got any more stories, do let us know. We've got a couple more comments to have a look at. Some stories come in. This is Karen. So hi again. We spoke to you last week, didn't we? A mate of mine mistakenly walked into a knocking shop. After being called out for a boiler breakdown, he was confronted by two hairy Dorises in skimpy nightwear attire. What have you been watching? And he had to use Google to translate he wasn't a customer. Two hairy Dorises. That's not the lady that touched on the leg, is it?
Well, I hope not.
A knocking shop, crikey. Never been in one of them. I don't even know what that is. One more comment, one more story. You found 180 grand in cash in an old lady's loft. I stopped work and rang her door. 180 grand cash.
To let her know that he won't be finishing the job because he's in a different country.
Yeah, he's right into that. From Portugal. 180 grand. That's amazing. That's like something from Breaking Bad, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be all right.
Some sort of drug dealer or something like that. Well, thank you very much for coming in and sharing your story.
It's all right. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about the top you're wearing and to do with that.
I'm also I design clothes as well, and Demon 13 is my brand. You can follow it on Instagram, Demon 13 UK.
But what's the story about it?
Well, it's all. I was born on Friday the 13th. The brand is all about mental health. Once I get to a stage where it's doing all right and I can do it properly, I want to be donating so much money to mental health charities.
But you've done it a percentage already.
I'd like little bits at the moment, and then the next things that will be coming like T-shirts with whales with like plastic in their stomachs. I'd like to personally go and clean so many bottles off the beaches or out of the seas for it.
So it's for mental health charities. It's something you were struggling with, so you decided to do something about
exactly that. Literally, it was exactly that. So if any tradies are looking at the moment, I'll give any tradie a 10% discount.
It's turned into QVC
Product placement.
Or if, they're all looking for jobs in morgues now after our stories. Anyway, so thank you very much for your comments coming in. We've got one more thing to do, which is reveal the winner of this week's hoodie. We've put them through a randomizer, and the person this week that has won the hoodie is
Roll.
Michael Jones, aka Budgie Man.
That's deserved, really, isn't it? Brilliant.
Wow. All that therapy that Michael's had over the years for killing that budgie.
God for life.
He's got. So, Michael, when you get a chance, just message the page. Just let us know your details, your size and stuff, and your address, and we will send that to you and some more Hoover bags, maybe. No feathers in. Thanks so much for joining us. Brad, thank you so much for coming along. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks to the guys that are out on site to join us with your funny stories. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Cheerio!